This is the Sim Pit. I'm Michi here from ACR Zakspeed, and today is a little bit of a different schedule. So Sean Cole is taking a day off as the Sim Pit, as he has to do some catch-up work in the background. So he didn't ask me, but since the time spot now was available, I just wanted to keep it running. First of all, guys, I'm not talking about big news. We will have some other news from real life racing that's going to be covered a little bit in our show, because it somewhat suits the way of stuff we're going to do right now. But this is not going to be the standard Sim Pit Pit Crew news show. Anyway, I'm happy you guys are here. I also want you guys to know that Sean gives a big shout out to everyone that is watching tonight. Anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to do some installation laps on the upcoming Formula SimRacing 2018 race. So it's the race weekend around Suzuka coming up. And here we are, already joining the official public server. And yeah, I would like to thank everyone that's been here. So what's going on in the world of racing? And I just want to say racing, and want to want to compress the thoughts a little bit more on Formula 1, because what has happened right there, we've had the Italian Grand Prix, and we had the big promotion of McLaren, that Lando Norris, a Formula 3 champion, a very talented GP2 driver, not GP2, Formula 2 driver right now, and a fellow iRacer. So he's part of our community here in iRacing, and he's just been promoted to take the seat of Stoffel van Dorn for next year. So that is great news for the sim racing community, isn't it? As it really shows how connected the world is in terms of sim racing and real racing. So anyway, the reason why what I'm doing here though is I haven't done this for a while, but I would like to guys get you an update of what has happened at Formula Sim Racing, and also want to show you what's about to come right there. So we're around here Suzuka race circuit in the Formula SimRacing 2018 car. We just got 3 rounds to go, and since the last race, which has been taking place in Singapore, things have really sped up in the championship. So Musto and ACR Zakspeed is still very strong together and very closely located to each other. So we're definitely having a lot of competitiveness going on there. So this is a little track installation, laps and track presentation that's going on for you. And I've already done some laps obviously, and I can tell you, if you want to have a sneak preview on that car, go out, look for the www.formula-simracing.net #1 server, get the downloads from the server and take a spin out of that car, because it feels massively nice, I can tell you. It's such a great car, so much grip on this track, and you can really nail and fly around, so it's so nice to drive. Anyway, what's your thoughts on this Lando Norris thing? To me, it was a bit out of the blue, to be honest. Like, I could see Fernando Alonso leaving McLaren, probably. Oh shit. Oh. And probably that is also a reason why people didn't really see come the replacement of Stoffel van Dorn. Although I think, I'm not really sure whether Stoffel decided himself to leave the team or whether the team forced him to do so. I've read the interviews and the press release of both parties, so McLaren and Stoffel. Back and forth, once, twice, even 3 times. And I didn't get a clear picture whether he was pushed out and replaced, or whether he actually decided to leave. So, bit of a weird thing. Anyway, it is what it is. McLaren is going to start with Sainz and Norris next year. So what do you guys think there of the promotion of Lando Norris? He's a very talented driver, no doubt about that. Maybe just as talented as Max Verstappen. Who knows? But to me, I think McLaren is still stuck in a crisis, and to me neither Sainz and of course not Norris have the ability to build a team being in the crisis. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the decision of the McLaren officials was the right one, or was simply just another waste of a season. I'm not going to do any black painting or any worse accusations or any worse expectations, but you know, I'm just raising questions, and yeah, I'd be happy to see your thoughts on it and get into discussion a bit. So what's my opinion about Bottas being the wingman? I think it's a bigger issue made out of the public and made out of the press due to a bad spelling of Toto Wolff, obviously, than it actually is. Because let's face it, the godmother of team orders and wingman positioning is Ferrari, no doubt about that. You all guys remember Let Michael Potts for the championship to Rubens Barrichello in Austria 2001. You all remember Fernando is faster than you. Can you confirm you understood that message? I think that was Hockenheim 2010. And you also saw it this year in Germany again. Ferrari wanted Raikkonen to move over for Vettel because of different strat and something. So, you know, Raikkonen for the last 3 years has been nothing else but a wingman too. He just wasn't titled as being one. And I can understand Toto Wolff saying, well, the wingman was being meant as to being a teammate, a great help, you know. That wasn't something that Mercedes was known to. Remember that Rosberg and Hamilton both fought for the championship, and so they were not actually racing as a team, but they were even competing against each other within the team. So that is a total different situation right now, as the second Mercedes is now being able to assist the other one, which in my opinion is absolutely reasonable. I mean, we're talking about teams, we're talking about F1 being a team sport, so 120 people in the factory working for both and for the team success, so I can't see why both drivers should not work together, either to favor the success of one or the team. And you know, Bottas is pretty much chanceless. Like, theoretically he can still win the championship, but on paper, by the real eventuality, no chance. So it's all but reasonable that both Finns are helping their teammates. It's just that obviously Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff said this word wingman, and it was like, and now he's gonna be humiliated by having said so, which in my opinion is wrong. So I think the media and the public is pushing this more than it actually is a factor, because let's face it, Ferrari would be, well, they do exactly the same, just maybe not as excessive right now because they don't have to, but last year they definitely did. So I don't understand the people mourning about Mercedes putting on the team all the strategy and stuff. It's just wrong. So that is my quite detailed opinion on the wingman situation, that Mercedes saying I would do exactly the same that Mercedes is doing. Alright, Factor, thank you for the feedback. I'm gonna have a look whether I can schedule up more Formula SimRacing streams or something. Feel free to run that car, I can really recommend it around here. It's a blast, I can tell you. So, hey Martin, thank you for the join. Darkland, to be honest, yes. Raikkonen could or should have won the Italian Grand Prix, but also he and Ferrari was forced in a stupid error. So, you know, he did the pit stop, and when the gap was around 20 seconds to Hamilton, that would have been plenty enough. However, Raikkonen pushed hard to close the gap to Bottas, and then he had a gap to Hamilton of 15 seconds. 15, so he gained another 5 seconds out of them tires, and you saw him really pushing hard, you know, Variante della Roccia, turn 4, turn 5. He was completely sideways on the exit like multiple times, so that absolutely shredded the tires, which was unnecessary because Bottas was about to box anyway, and you'd rather have a Hamilton in the back with a 2-second safety gap and push as soon as he comes out of the pits and still run in clean air. So I think Raikkonen just got the management of the tires wrong. Otherwise he would have had more than a good chance to win this race. Of course Hamilton gained because of the roadblock of Bottas, but once again, put Ferrari in that situation and you will see exactly the same. Actually we did in Bahrain 2016 or 2017, please don't name me on my quote, but either of one races, Raikkonen was used for exactly the same thing. It just didn't pay off. Hey Martin, so as a poll, do you think Robert will get a seat after this year for Lance? Robert is being met Robert Kubica. It's a tough one, to be honest. It's a tough decision, needs to be made. There's a few things that definitely point towards it, like Williams need a highly experienced driver that drives the car continuously and can develop it, which I think Kubica definitely would be. On the other hand, No, in the same direction goes as Lance Stroll is moving out of the team. There is a seat to spare. I can hear that. Also, it would attract new sponsors because they would be a team to bring in. And please don't flame me now, but bring in a disabled race driver. I mean, he literally is disabled. And I mean, if you have watched Alexandro Zanardi, a guy that is a good 50 years old, has raced as a guest starter in the German DTM series around Misano in the night race and in the wet, and he has no legs, and he had a throttle puller right here, and the brake was like a handbrake. He had to operate on the right hand side, so only downshifting and steering with one hand while being on the brakes, and he came 5th. He destroyed half of the field being disabled, so there is proven evidence that it is possible, and there is also proven evidence that this is a major PR thing, which Williams can attract multiple sponsors, because hey, we're the company that sponsors the disabled Robert Kubica for success. We help to, or we give devices to make that car being steered only by the by hands and stuff, or whatnot, or only with one hand, whatever. So I think it's a valid possibility that we see Robert Kubica in the car. Also, Williams will have a sporting interest in it. There's a few things I think would be against that. The first thing is, Williams I think is still in a massive crisis and they need a lot of money, and for sure Robert Kubica won't be a paid driver. I cannot think about him paying money in order to get racing in a cockpit. I just can't think of that possibility. And on the second hand, and this is a valid point again, is Kubica really able for a full season to drive races and practices and qualifying and everything and do the entire program with his disabled hand? I don't think it's a major factor, but for a team it might be a valid concern. And you can start saying this is racist or something. It's just my opinion on that. So actually I heard from somewhere that it's already confirmed, but who knows? Really, who knows? So next question. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Marcin, the move to F1 it was so hyped up at the beginning of the season, and now it turned out that it only had been some test drives. Yes, Darkland, I agree. You saw Vettel being turned around at the end of the field, so the actual racing is going on from P7 onwards. If you cut away Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, that is where the actual racing takes place. And you know, last week we had, what was it? We had the Force India being up to pace, being so good. And this year in this round in Italy in qualifying, they were humiliated there at the back. So that is how quickly the performance changes. I mean, Q2 was ridiculously close in the rear and in the mid-pack. Darkland, there will be no F1 stream today. Yes, I mean, those guys do pretty well, because you know what? When they got disabled at the first moment initially, usually is they are shocked. They're like, oh my god, I can't do and feel what I used to do or want to feel. And then, because it's what really makes them the type of persons they are, if they see a problem or if they see an issue, they no longer treat it as an issue, but they treat it as a challenge. And then they are like, okay, what can I do? What can a team do? What can car manufacturers do in order to make me being able to use my abilities? And Billy Monger, oh dear, Billy Monger has showed us how it can be, how it can work. And I really do believe that it is really possible for Kubica as well. Yeah, Martin, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's disabled completely or something. But, you know, it's a major disadvantage. Like, if I put away my hand right now and start driving this car with one hand only, downshifting is no problem. But what I'm gonna do now... There you go. You know, and now I have to pull back the wheel. I have to get into neutral. Pull that back. And then I can start driving again. I need to find the shifts here. Then I press the limiter, shift down. You know, that is like the common problems you somehow have to face. And I'm not saying that that Robert Kubica is disabled by all means. He's a talented driver and he has found a way to overcome his little issue and get back into normal racing. Yeah, Cody, Force India was off 3.6 seconds at Q3. However, they were the quickest non-top 3 team cars and performed well in the race as well, to my understanding. Hey, whippy whip. In all honesty, Assetto Corsa has just updated the graphics and it's still the very same engine to what I've heard and what I've seen. When you're talking about Assetto Corsa Competizione. Other than that, I agree. rFactor 2 would need some polish on the graphics. But it's getting there, you know, slowly but surely. They've done some great work on the endurance pack and there is more great stuff to come. I think that is pretty much for sure. Yeah, Cody, I actually agree with that. Alright guys, so I'm bringing this to an end very soon, since we now had a little bit of conversation and controversial discussion, which is great. So latest news have been talked through in F1. SimRacing news, well, I'm so sorry, but I didn't receive anything right now. And also I can only tell you a big shout out from Sean. He's not available today and doing some catch up behind the scenes in order to bring out new reviews and new road checks for the show, which is great, which I really want him to do. And other than that, guys, I have nothing left to say than have a go in this car or at this phenomenal racetrack as being known the Suzuka race circuit. And I'm gonna do 2-3 quick laps and gonna do some track presentation with it, so you guys are aware of where to look for on the upcoming Sunday. So the race is on the 9th of September. 1200 GMT, 1500 GMT and 1800 GMT. This is when Pro, Ace and WC kicks off. And then you guys have an idea of what's going on right here. So here we go, around final turn, coming down the long downhill straight. DRS wide open is the only DRS zone, and it's the only DRS zone in the Formula SimRacing calendar where you have to close the wing manually, because you can still go flat out into turn 1, but just not as quick. Into the S as we go. You need a very fluid car that likes going left and right, has a good weight transfer, has a great balance. Turn 7, nearly flat out. Since we have a fully fueled up car, it's not that easy. Deckner 1, Deckner 2, two right-handers. I'm gonna go a little bit more into detail next lap. This hairpin is so important because you need to carry a lot of speed, and that is very bad. It is like one of the last spots where you can try to really put some air between you and the opponent behind, because right now we have spoon corner coming up, a doubled apex left-hander that opens a bit before it closes a bit again, and the exit is like so important. There's one sweet spot where you really need to get through and carry so much speed on this endless straight. And I call it a straight because 130 are no problem, but flat out into the final chicane, the Casio triangle it's called, I think, before we end the lap of this figure 8 track. So here we are. Lap time pretty bad, obviously, due to the spin, so we're gonna go again. First turn really is flat out still, then trail braking into 2, and then you even want to carry some speed here because the entry speed defines how you go through those corners rhythm wise. You want to nicely sweep the car from left to right through them corners. Turn 7, up the hill, first sector done. Then we have Deckner 1, which is pretty fast. You just touch the brakes a little, throw the car in. Deckner 2, a bank corner. If you get it right, you get a decent exit, and not with some silly oversteer like me. Into the hairpin we go, really trying to get the traction down and get a great exit. Still wasn't a great exit. And then there is this spoon corner where you can have various lights through it. You can throw it into the corner so quick on the first apex, and then wait and go to the inside for the second one to sweep around that exit. You see it on the timer up there. We just gained a bit on our fastest lap, and the next time around I might have another driving line for you ready. Casino triangle, here we go. We shouldn't spin. Whoopsie. Hey Bellas. So for the final time we go around, and then we're gonna box, and then we're gonna end this stream. Since we've reached the Sim Pit News Morning Show half an hour mark. Forgot to close DRS, there we go. So yeah, nearly ripped us apart here. I can really only encourage you guys to get out on track, to join this Formula Sim Racing server, download all the available content for it, and give it a spin. It is such a nice track to race on it, and I think those races will be a thriller. We're expecting a 2-stop, I'm pretty sure, for WC. Because it's quite heavy on the tires still, and we expect maybe even a 2-stop also for Pro and Ace. So strategy is going to be an interesting thing on that weekend, that's for sure. Yeah, took a different line, shot wide here, and literally had a bad exit. Was a bad spoon corner in general. So you can see, to dodge dirty air though, it might be a valid possibility to run like this. And yeah, then we're gonna enjoy good racing here. 53 laps for WC, 40 laps for Pro and Ace. Oh, there was a pit speed limiter already. So guys, that is it about. So that was track presentation around Suzuka and the Formula Sim Racing car. And yeah, tomorrow I think Sean will be back again with his usual morning show, where the real news is going to be talked through then. And I hope you enjoyed this little diversion program though. It was like totally out of the box, really spontaneously done. I didn't plan to do any live stream right today, but I would like to help Sean and reach him a hand to keep his time spot operated. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I think we had a nice discussion going on about what's going on in Formula One. A little towards my blends right now, so there won't be any further streaming from me right today as a planet, since we do have iRacing week 13. That means the update's gonna go in, and racing is gonna be bad, and it's gonna be bad for your rating, so you rather don't want to do it. And other than that, we do have a P1 practice maybe coming up over the week. I'm not too sure about that yet. So there is a P1 12 hours of Sebring in the Endurance Puck, being hosted by P1 obviously, coming up on the 29th of September, so 2 weeks after the Expo. What else is going on? I might have another go in the EWTCR at some point just for fun. During the week there might be the one or other episode of F1 2018 career mode, probably tomorrow, which is gonna be for the last time until the weekend. After the weekend then we have various things going on, so the new iRacing season will start next week. We will have more F1 2018 career modes, we will have more FSR stuff, so there's a lot of things going on right now.